Is John O'Shea back in the running as Ireland boss? Acting FAI chief says every candidate is being considered. We pay our respects to Fran Rooney, the FAI's first ever CEO, and Bayer Leverkusen's perfect season comes crashing down in Dublin. This is Lansdowne Roar. David Dunn here, joined as always by Martin Prendergast. And if you like what you see, love what you hear, hit that subscribe button, scan that QR code, and head over to our Facebook, Instagram, and our Twitter account, especially YouTube. Give it a cheeky little subscribe there. Martin, how are you doing? You've obviously read the headline of the show. You want to give it to John. You want I actually just realized you actually want him to get the job, or do you want to do something else to him?
Oh, Jesus, Dave.
You're the one that said give it the job. Jesus Christ.
No,
it's a children's show.
I was struggling to come up with a little handle, I suppose. Is that what it is?
You are?
I'm happy to be involved again and on the show. Chatting about Irish football, and kind of interesting day, I suppose, of it, with kind of the news from our interim. We love an interim in Ireland.
Interim.
Yep. We have an interim CEO.
Yes.
And interesting news from him today.
Very interesting news. We're actually gonna get straight into it, man. Should we just crack on it? Well, we just crack that whip and get into it. No swearing. We're not allowed to swear because it messes up the algorithm. So just keep your language to a minimum. I'll try to get your man back watching the pod.
Oh, jeez. All right.
We don't swear anymore. We're very good. Anyway, right. Let's get into it. So David Courell. Here he is. He's the FAI interim CEO. He was on Ireland AM. Is that what it's called? Some program, I don't know, back in RTE. So he was on there this morning, and essentially, well, I'm going to read out what he said. And he talks about the process. He says the association's long search for a new men's manager has rightly been criticised, but claims they are running a professional process. Well, we've been rightly criticised for setting out timelines in recent months. We are committed to ensuring we have someone in the post when we commence our UEFA Nations League competition. That's what he told Morning Ireland. Up until a matter of weeks ago, I myself, this is Courell, by the way, not me, I was air-gapped. That sounds like
a lovely bit of management speak, that, isn't it?
Oh, it is, isn't it?
David Brent all day, that. Go on.
Buzzwords, buzz. I was air-gapped sounds like something you want to do to John O'Shea from the process, which I think is a testament to how professionally it has been run. It has been a confidential process, both internally and externally. But now that I'm in the camp, I'm fully read in, and I'm comfortable with the steps and stages which have taken place, and confident we will get the best candidate for moving the Irish national team forward and ensure we deliver success. He was asked whether O'Shea was going to be considered for the permanent role, something that Mark Canham had ruled out previously. He says, well, it's an open process. Every candidate is being considered. John has done a fantastic job, and we're looking forward to what he can do in the upcoming fixtures. He's an unbelievable ambassador for the game, a fantastic servant for Irish football, so we wish him the best of luck for June, and we see what transpires in the rest of the recruitment process. I said it on the last episode, didn't I? I guarantee you that I said to you that they were going to change, they were going to do a U-turn, didn't I? And then all of a sudden, they're going to pull back from all of that because you've nobody lined up. And the man who had no chance of getting it because he had the guy lined up in April is now back in the running. There you go. Forget about your Fergie predictions, Martin. You got this here.
Yeah, not quite a bold prediction, I suppose, was it? Anyway, look, as we said there, and I kind of interrupted you, kind of reading that little blurb there.
Management speak.
UEFA management, politician speak there, but I'm not going to knock David Courell at all. He is my second favourite David now, and after Myler, and then he would be there, and then I'm not sure where you figure. Anyway, joking. Second favourite David. And look, he's in the role now, and this is a big PR push from the FAI. Canham's gone very quiet, which I haven't a problem with. We did hear from him the frustration we had. It was getting very, very lethargic and, just a bit tiring, wasn't it? With everything. Like, I personally was feeling a bit kind of down about the Irish football kind of landscape, as it were. So this is where we are now. We wait till the end of the season. Obviously, the FAI are obviously involved today with, the promotion of the Europa League final, which we were held at Lansdowne Road this evening. And it's good to hear from this guy, but it's nothing unexpected what he's saying. We've got the press conference next week where I think that will be interest in John O'Shea announcing his squad on Tuesday, which we'll obviously be covering. But also, I think it'll be interesting because John O'Shea will be asked, John, what's happened here? How have you fitting into this? And we'll hear a little bit more. And that's what I'm kind of keen to kind of understand the process in a sense and what is happening and what John O'Shea's been told, because we'll get little snippets revealed. And yes, we're still without a manager, but we'll get a squad announced and kind of move on a little bit. It's another step, isn't it? It's a stepping stone towards the final.
I don't think it is.
I hope. And like I said the other day on the show, I think we'll get it announced probably 6 weeks. I think it'll be like 6 weeks before the September game. I think we'll have an interim period coming in, like a lead-in period for the manager announcing. It won't be like a week before and then now go and deal with England.
I think this is. I think David Courell is basically just cleaning up the mess from the verbal diarrhea that has come out of Mark Canham over the last few months, setting out basically writing checks he cannot cash, promising this, that, and the other. If you want to hear about that, guys, go through the archive in the YouTube channel and give us a cheeky subscribe whilst you're at it. All these promises that he made, and I think he's gone, okay, right, let's just roll it back here a little bit because we're going to start from scratch. And yeah, basically, if John O'Shea impresses, that's what I read. If he impresses, why not? And why not? But the problem is, But the problem is,
go on, Dave. Sorry, go on. I'm interrupting.
You're going to interrupt me again, right? God, you want to interrupt me
on.
all day. But the problem is, as I said before, that John O'Shea will select on Tuesday, and we are going to cover it. You're absolutely right. We're going to be live. I think we're going to be live for that one on Tuesday. Times to follow. He doesn't know where he stands with the job, and he's going to just pick a nice, safe squad. He's not going to be able to impart his wisdom, his message, his vision for what he wants the Irish team to be, or neither is any manager. And I think it's just another bloody waste of time, if I'm being honest with you. It's another interim manager with an interim squad, keeping it safe. No one knows what's going on. And I think David Courell, I will reserve my judgment on David Courell. He is, to be fair, only an interim manager. Good Mayo man, I'm sure. So we'll see what he wants to do and see what part he plays in the recruitment process now, because the last one was a complete farce. And he's held his hands up, Martin. I'll give him that. And he's trying to say, yeah, we're right to be criticised, but it has been professional. Well, I don't think it really. I'm not disparaging the integrity of it, but I don't think it has been professional when you're coming out and you're given deadlines that you have no right to make. Only make a deadline when you have the guy signed, sealed, and delivered. Otherwise, you look pretty stupid now, don't you? So I don't know. How's that professional?
They have looked stupid at it, but I think they're the kind of elephant in the room with this, and I'm turning it a bit more positive, I suppose.
As always,
I'm going to give Courell the benefit, and I'm going to say yes, it was a farce completely how they did it previously. I think they can easily blame a lot of the problems on the fact that Jonathan Hill undermined the association early on in the year with the performance at the Oireachtas. It's clear now that he was it is because he was one of the three who was involved in.
It's very easy to blame him.
No, I know that, but I'm saying that's how you can spin it. That is how.
Oh, I've no doubt they'll try and spin it that way. I've no doubt,
and that is what's being done. So I think he's earned time now, Courell, to come out, hold his hands up, and say, "Look, I'm involved now." I'm sure David Courell probably is looking at the CEO job as well, full time. It probably is an attractive one to him. I don't know his full CV or skill set with that.
Marketing guy, wasn't he?
But he's been with UEFA and stuff. He's done these. I have met him, and he was doing a kind of feasibility study whether there could be a multi-home nation, as it were, plus Ireland World Cup in future. So it's not a surprise to see him coming in to the interim role. Whether he gets it long term, don't know. But he has now very clearly said, I'm going to be involved in the appointment of the manager. I think that's what I've taken from that kind of press release today. That we've also got Paki Bono, obviously, from the board, I guess is still involved. A lot of frustration with it. Mark Canham has probably been told, look, just go under the radar again, go a bit quiet. Let's just have John O'Shea coming in for the games. We'll start afresh. John O'Shea has earned, if I was John O'Shea, I would have turned around and said, I'll come into these 2 games, but I seriously want to be considered now because for whatever reason, she hadn't considered me before, but this is an opportunity for me to pick my squad. I think John O'Shea's got a massive opportunity, to be honest. I think he can be brave with his squad, Dave, because he's got nothing to lose now, because he was kind of told, you're not in our plans. It went wrong. And now he can go, actually, because we did hear from him, didn't we, that, he probably was a bit safe and maybe he had been guided or pushed a certain way with the selection of the squad. But I want to see him be brave now and pick people if they're available and put his kind of ideas to the test in these 2 games. He's got a massive free shot on it, more than it was before, because he can kind of proper go for it now. I think we did need those 2 games to be a bit safe and controlled, and he done very well in the first one. But I think now he's got a free shot, and I hope he's brave and goes with a brave selection.
Well, I don't think he's got enough time.
I
don't think he's got enough time. And why would he have enough time? No, he's not. I don't think he is going to be brave, Martin, because that'd be suicide. Football speaking, because you don't know who the next manager is going to be. You're gonna make sure you don't have anyone retire. Like you got, look, Seamus Coleman, I love you, but you know what? At the end of the day, mate, you're 35, and I need to look at Festi and all these. He can't have those conversations unless he's the actual manager, and I think his authority is going to be diminished because he's got that interim word in front of him. Now, you're on about David Courell, right? David Courell has been in the FAI since 2021 as Chief Operating Officer. Now, I something he said earlier on. He said he was what was it? Time gapped, or what was it? Air gapped.
Oh, air gapped. Yeah,
that's a new one for me. And I listen. I worked in the used car industry over here in London, so I've heard a lot of buzzwords. He's a Chief Operating Officer. He is responsible for the day-to-day running of a business. That is the definition of a COO. That's what he is at the FAI. Now he's a CEO, right? Chief Operating Officer is an executive in charge of the daily operations of an organization. And you're confident now that this guy who's been part of an organization has made a complete mess of things over the last few months, that he's coming out and saying, yeah, we got our hand, we got it wrong, but we're running professional we're running a professional process here. And you have a guy out spouting deadlines that he has absolutely no right to make. I'm sorry, Martin. We'll see what he's like as an interim CEO, and if he does a great job, why not? I mean, he's a COO. He's been there for 3 years. April 2021. Let me just see here. December.
These guys, they do have these roles, and the whole thing of Jonathan Hill as a CEO was that he was putting in place, people who are accountable to him. Basically, he wanted to be the head man, and you do this. I'm not going to micromanage you. You are reporting into me and stuff, and that was one of his failings in a sense, because there's been so much disharmony between all the different kind of factions within the FAI. A lot of faith was lost. You had to be on the ground. You had to be in the building, I think, with the FAI to kind of really shake loads of hands. And I've said that in the past. Jonathan Hill didn't do that, didn't engage with the key stakeholders for another management.
Maybe he was set up to fail. Maybe he was set up to fail. And that's not a criticism of David Courell, but he's a COO. The CEO is the big chief, but the COO is the guy that does the day-to-day, does the nitty-gritty, gets, the bonnet up or gets under the bonnet. That's what they do. And, I wonder why he's not involved, or why he doesn't have any sort of idea what's going on with the managerial search, why it's just the director of football, the CEO, Packy Bonner, and why the COO isn't involved in that. I think that's strange, because COO, I think he's like the second in charge, isn't he?
Yeah, but it's a big job probably as well. So, I think they have been very quiet about it. And although he can easily turn around, he's got a little argument there, hasn't he, to say, actually, look, I'm coming into this with a fresh kind of look at it, and like he's read it all now, is what he said, I think, didn't he? So he can come in as a fresh approach and go, look, I'm going to sort this, everybody. So trust me. That's in a way what it is.
Trust the process is what you're saying, is it?
Well, it is that, isn't it? But I mean, I don't think there's any point being too negative on it.
Well, not be negative, man.
But I think you've got to just give him an opportunity. Yeah, but I think
you're saying John Chase can be brave. He doesn't even have the job. Oh yeah, I'm going to end your career. I'm going to,
Oh no, I don't think he's got to do that. But it wasn't more about. I don't think he was going to be doing that straight away anyway. But John O'Shea, with his squad selection or whoever he's picking, and how he's bringing them into it, and his way of playing, why not just try and put those ideas across? Because the fact he's going to impress the players, I think, at some stage.
The fact he's the interim manager already, he is facing an uphill battle. It doesn't matter. They were already moaning. They were already complaining about his training methods, whether he wasn't spending
well,
enough
they were
time.
saying about their time. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we don't know that training methods.
Yeah, but is that players who, again, we alluded to that in the past as well, the players who didn't get minutes on the pitch, like look, we're not going to turn this into Man United Liverpool again, but Klopp.
Oh God, no.
Brilliant
No.
quote though from Klopp was, you know, as a manager, the 11 love me that week, the subs like me, and everyone else hates me, and I've got to pick it all up, put it back together for the week after when I change it around. And that's just very true. And you're trying to do that with a 24, 25 man squad.
And we have a
you're
guy.
not going to be able to give them time to everybody.
And we have a guy. We have a guy who we don't know if he's going to be the manager or not come September. He could be, probably won't be. I think he will be, if I'm honest with you. I think they'll do it because now you do have a new guy steering the ship. David Courell. Look, I'll give him every chance, because the COO not knowing what's going on in managerial search. That seems bizarre to me. I'm not saying he's a liar. That just seems a bizarre way of doing things. I don't run a business, so I don't know. Maybe it's not bizarre. But he's pretty high up in that. He is pretty high up in the FAI for him not to know what was going on there. But I don't know. For me, the jury's out. I'll give him every benefit, man. And if he does a great job, fair play. And if he does a good enough job, he gets it on a full-time basis. Although the last CEO that took over an interim capacity took over on a full-time basis, Mr. John Delaney. But no, look, not comparing him to John Delaney. Fair play, but we'll see. He has a big mess to clean up, and I hope that this is the first day of cleaning up that mess. That, to be fair, and let's be honest, the director of football, Mark Canham, created. And yes, in part as well, Jonathan Hill. But he's out the door now. Let's not blame everything on him. There's still people there in that organisation that were part of that process that was a complete farce. And it was a farce. Let's call it for what it is. It was a farce. Before we move on, actually, for the squad, yes, we will be covering the squad. It will be next Tuesday. And I was thinking of something rude there. I won't say involving Tuesday. But no, we will be back next Tuesday. We're not sure of the time, so do keep tuned and we'll let you know. I think we're going to try and do a live one. Martin's away. Are you away or are you back?
I am away, yeah. I am away, but look, we can get on. We will try and get on for an hour for a live one. I'm quite happy to do that. And
an hour for a live one.
No, because I do want to cover I want to hear from people. I want to see what people think of the squad.
No, I just think it's fun.
I'll be honest, I want to gloat. I want to be I am
brave.
Away for just it's half term and stuff like that, bank holiday weekend. But I will be gloating, hopefully, on the wonderful family success when cousin Will secures promotion to the Premier League, and also Man United will have won the FA Cup. So a very optimistic Prendergast family weekend ahead.
Wow, hopefully so. Before actually we move on to the next topic, did you it was brought to our attention by James, who is part of the writing group, which you can find our articles over at lansdowneroar.ie, lansdowneroar.ie. Did you see that little bit about Steve Mornick and Martin O'Neill when he was at Villa? Oh my God. Yeah, basically, they just never trained.
I've heard that on the Kosh podcast, so we'll give them a credit and a shout out. But notorious that Martin O'Neill had a couple of favourites, Bon Lahore and Ashley Young, and after a victory would come into the changing room and say, "All right, lads, see you Wednesday," and like, "Well done today." And then one of them would say, "Oh yeah, Thursday, boss, was it?" and did nothing. And Steve Mornick said, that as they were flying that year with that kind of method,
it fell apart.
But then they fell apart. They weren't fit enough. It's interesting. Milner fell out quite majorly with Martin O'Neill over this. That they weren't fit enough and used to train on his own. And even it shows, I think, a lot into the character of Martin O'Neill as a manager and coach, because one of the stories was Milner, like Martin O'Neill went out there, put down cones and markers one day and had them all to do sprints and stuff and this session, and then just went, "There you go, you're happy now," kind of thing, like a bit of a tantrum. I think he really played on that whole enigma, is that the right word, of just trying to be like Brian Clough. And I'm just special and I'm going to do this stuff off the cuff and it will work. And be magic. And
I've said that for years about him. He throws as much shit against the wall as possible, sees what sticks. That's how the Ireland team plays. So it worked. It worked for the first term. It really did. It almost worked for the second term. But it's even the game I remember against Wales and Cardiff. It was just. I think it was Harry Arter, your mate Arter. Or was it Hendrick? Closed down Ashley Williams. Got the ball in to James McLean, and that was it.
Yeah.
There was no real tactics there. I mean, it can work, I suppose, in international football, but yeah, just fascinating. Under the Cosh, great podcast, actually, must say.
I mean, the irony of that story of not training and stuff, and yet, like Roy Keane then, criticising Irish players for, resting and recovery stuff when
Matt Doherty,
it had to be more intense. It's amazing how that relationship actually worked between the two of them.
It's just they just played into this whole nonsense, this whole Brian Clough thing. Like, oh yeah, every week. Do you remember the last year of the Brian Clough? Brian Clough said, "I was like, Jesus, lads." Whilst we couldn't buy one win in the whole of 2018. But anyway, we're going to move it on. We're going to move it on to some sad news. Actually, today it was announced quietly. Really, it sort of just came out on Twitter. I saw John Fallon and Mark Tighe break the news on Twitter here that a former CEO, FAI CEO, the first ever CEO of the FAI, Fran Rooney, passed away, I believe, this morning at the age of 67. Our condolences do go out to Fran's family there. I've never met the man. Self-made millionaire, former. I'm going to actually read out a little bit of a bio on him here. Very interesting guy. Very interesting guy here. Sorry, my Google machine is going on. But I'm going to read from the Irish Independent, as they always do. The Dubliner, who died on Monday at the age of 67, started out as a player with home farm and line-out for a number of other League of Ireland clubs. He stepped up to management when he was appointed as boss of the senior women's international team in 1986, a position he held for 5 years when he was succeeded by Linda Gorman. He probably would have managed
Sue.
No, well, probably Sue and yep, and the journalist, she was shot.
Veronica Guerin.
Veronica Guerin.
All right.
Veronica Guerin.
Jesus, I think that's the first time in the history of the pod I've got a name wrong compared to you. You're calling me out.
You only get the Irish names wrong, Martin. We're trying to be
nice to each other.
We're trying to be nice. No, but he would have managed Veronica Guerin. I think she played for the women's team at that time as well. He then made his name in the business world working with Baltimore Technologies from 96. Rooney's work in that field led him back to the FAI when he was hired as a CEO in May 2003. He was the first CEO in the association's history. The role replaced the general secretary position that had previously been held by Brendan Menton. The appointment of the CEO was one of the key recommendations of the Genesis report, which was commissioned following the fallout from your mate Roy. That's not in the Independent. That's just me adding that. He had agreed a 3-year contract with the FAI, and on his appointment said he will be providing leadership for the FAI in the footballing community. He did actually come and make some changes, Martin. He adapted a new logo, a controversial new logo, and a tweak to the name from FAI to FA Ireland, which, to be fair, they've always kind of bounced between that, to be fair, because I can find programs from the 70s that says FA Ireland. But anyway, at a difficult time for the national team, he was seen as a backer of manager Brian Kerr, but Rooney was gone within 18 months following a series of internal rows. Apparently, just 3 members of the 60-strong FAI senior council backed Rooney. He left in November 2004 and was replaced by John Delaney, who came in as interim CEO before that appointment was made permanent. He actually went into became a barrister in 2008 at the age of 52. Very talented guy.
Yeah.
And then he actually he founded Sports Law International. I didn't know this, but he actually represented Roddy Collins when he was in battle with the FAI, FAI disciplinary committee. He was the Monaghan United manager at the time, Roddy Collins, and an FAI disciplinary committee hit Collins with a 6-game ban and a €1,000 fine for disparaging comments made on RT radio. He came back out again in 2019 after the exit of his controversial successor from the FAI, obviously Mr. But yeah, he wasn't very happy about John Delaney. It goes into his whole thing with Baltimore Technologies and all that, but a very sad day. The FAI's first ever CEO, Fran Rooney, a footballing man, played the game, managed women's teams. He managed League of Ireland teams. Like, really
Yeah, I do remember him from that time. You know, this was just before, obviously, we moved to the Aviva, the new Lansdowne, and there was a
Lansdowne Road.
big,
Don't you dare
yeah,
say
Lansdowne
that.
Road. Okay, um, but you know, I remember at the time then dealing in Republic of Ireland Soccer Sports Club business. And I remember the new logo, and I remember a big push from the FAI to try and get some money in. And I think they've done a 10-year kind of bucket seat thing. They've done this new deal that you could, you know, to really get money in, that you could get a real good deal on your season tickets and stuff. And I think he was behind that, and this new kind of logo and new kind of time. There was a big push at one stage, which was kind of, if history is being remembered by me correctly, there was a big push to kind of really professionalize the association with regards to kind of support representation. They wanted to kind of sort out their own supporters club groups, like as a fan club, like the FA in England have a travel club, supporters club. They wanted to kind of do that within the FAI, and but individual supporters clubs like West London, we weren't kind of fans of that. But I remember
No.
you could sign up. They did have a supporters club thing where you could sign up and register with the FAI. But it didn't really come to any fruition majorly. But that was something that he did bring, and I think he just tried to pull us forward a bit. And obviously then we knew as well that soon enough we were going to be moving to a new stadium. And yeah, like obviously a sad day, but yeah, I hadn't realised, to be honest, that he was so involved in Irish football, like being a women's manager and the playing career and stuff. And like the little bits I read today, mentioned like a very astute businessman involved with Dermot Desmond, who's obviously from Celtic infamy. Again, another link to Martin O'Neill in a way. But you know, they don't suffer fools in business, so he would have been well held in high regard. So yeah, sad day, and condolence obviously to his family and
yeah. I
everyone as
think
well.
I think as a CEO, I never met him, but I think as a CEO, you probably a bit ahead of his time. Certain things, and probably the right guy at the wrong time. But yeah, no, listen, our condolences go to his family, and yeah, very sad to hear for Fran Rooney, who has passed away at the age of 67. Let's move it on to, well, the Europa League was played earlier today, the Europa League final, and Atalanta have come out 3-0 winners. They have brought Bayer Leverkusen's perfect record, their 51 unbeaten streak game, 51 game unbeaten streak, crashing down. There he is, the manager of Atalanta. What's his name, Martin?
Don't know. Not a finger on the pulse. Look, man, that was my joke. I had a big joke ready. Look, man.
Well, he got the hat trick.
Yeah, exactly. That was my joke. Look, man, I took no real interest in it, but
really crap joke, to be fair.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, what is?
Who is the manager?
Who's the? Sorry, you're breaking up there, Martin. Who's what?
Who is the Atalanta manager?
Gian Piero Gasparini. Just
okay.
Off the top of my head. Yeah, just off the top of my head there. Thank you, Wikipedia.
I was kind of a very entertaining game. I was kind of watching it while I was doing something else, so it was in the background. But it was really a good game. I mean, it was brilliant to see the stadium already, and you know, the amount of people who messaged me last few days thinking I was Martin Delaney asking me for tickets, where actually the tickets for that game were all controlled by UEFA. Like supporters clubs didn't get access to them. It was all a big kind of thing that UEFA obviously controlled the ballot and stuff. Now, a lot of people had applied thinking that Liverpool were going to get there, so I think that might have been the reason why there was a lot of interest. But you know, a massive surprise in a sense, because this unbeaten record was kind of on the line, wasn't it? And I did see, you know, throughout the day and even the press conference leading up to it, Alonso, you know, asked about his Gaelic football playing days. We've heard that story before, and you know, he was jogging around Dublin this morning. I think he's absolutely brilliant as a manager. I think he'll go on to bigger and better things has done amazing season. I think they've got a cup final.
First senior full first senior season, actually. This is, he only came in last season, kind of towards the back end. Yeah, I mean, of course, we're asking about his time in Mead and all that. You know, typical Irish press, like, "Oh my God, you know, you in Ireland." You know, wow.
When Spain hammered Ireland 4-0 in 2012.
12, yes.
Where was that played in Poland? Can you remember? I can't remember. Poznan, was it? What was it?
Let me put it on the Google machine. I think it was Poznan.
Yeah. We were there at that, and the next day, kind of hungover outside a coffee shop, having a little kind of recovery coffee, of course. And he just walked past, headphones on, just destroyed Ireland the night before.
Gdansk.
Gdansk, that's it. And we gave a little wave to him, and he just gave us a little acknowledgement and a little polite applause for our efforts, I suppose. Nice to do that after a 4-0 win. So he's just a normal guy, brilliant player, Alonso.
Thanks, Shabby.
I think he'll do very well as a manager, and he's done well so far. So, well, I hope Mark Hannam has knocked on the door in our search.
Yes, that's what he was waiting for, wasn't he?
We want him to come home. We want him to come home. Surely that's what the press surely should have asked that question yesterday. Would you like to base yourself here? Have you ever thought about come back to Ireland?
I actually saw that. That was a quote on Twitter saying, typical Shabby. Like, he's making us play the long game before he takes over in September. No. Well, congratulations anyway to Atalanta, the first ever European trophy, and they won it here on Irish soil. Before we go, actually,
amazing story that though, Dave. I was listening to kind of after the game, and they were saying, that club is so kind of small, and when they last played in Europe, they played in they qualified for the Champions League now, but when they last played in the Champions League, their ground isn't of the standard. They had to kind of play at the San Siro. So for them to win a European competition is incredible, and it's a wonderful night for them, and I hope they enjoy Dublin tonight, the victorious winners.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Dara Breen tweeted out, actually, he was in Dublin. Yeah, it's exciting. Europa League final trivia. I was in the Aviva Stadium a couple of weeks ago, and the seats were in this weird formation. Can you guess why? Or just wait 1 second till I post the answer, because he has like 1 and 2. And he goes, yes, the answer is Aviva isn't a UEFA sponsor, so the lads at the stadium had to spend a load of time rearranging the seats into a random set of symbols instead of the Aviva logo. Football, never lose your soul. Yeah, saw that actually. I was getting sort of updates about what that was looking like. So it looked like Klingon. if you're listening to the it looks like Greek. Actually, it's like actually, speaking of Greek, we forgot to mention the game in Athens in October. We're going back to the APOP arena, aren't we? We're going back there. Yep. Hopefully the fans, hopefully they open all the turnstiles this time. That'd be very nice for Greek hosts to do that.
Yeah, we'll trust the FAI to represent the Irish fans travelling in numbers as we usually do. Just another little bit of ticket news, which I can reveal.
Go on.
Some things I can't say, but most of it, I can tell you, Dave, off recordings. But
tell me off air.
They are expecting that the kickoffs for the Ireland-England in Dublin and England-Ireland in Wembley will be moved earlier. Both.
Yeah.
It's not breaking news, of course, but they are really expecting that, and they're going to have news soon.
Good. Good. That's what I want to hear. Anyway, more on that as we get it, really. So Tuesday we are back. Well, actually, I'll be back on Friday. Martin won't be because he's off on his hollybops. But on Tuesday we will be live. The squad is announced Tuesday, and we will come at you live. We won't have a podcast Monday unless something mad happens, but Tuesday we will be live, we hope. So stay tuned to that. Martin, thank you very much. Thank you guys for listening. You are the Roar faithful. You are a wonderful bunch of people. If you wouldn't mind, please hit subscribe. If you haven't already, please scan that QR code. It's got our link tree on it. Head over to our Facebook, Instagram, our Twitter, and also our website, which is lansdowneroar.ie. That is lansdowneroar.ie. If you have a question for the pod, you want to email us. If that is your preferred method of communication, we have an email address there, pod@lansdowneroar.ie, pod@lansdowneroar.ie. And if you do like what you hear and love what you see, tell people about us. Spread the word. We are doing God's work over here, I hope, anyway. We are trying to we are trying to grow, easy for me to say, the YouTube channel. So we would appreciate a cheeky subscribe if you haven't already. Anyway, that's it. I'm David Dunn. He is Martin Prendergast. We are out of here. We'll see you on Tuesday if we don't see you on Friday. Good night. God bless. And trust the process.